Let me check.
Well, I think
No,
it's...
no.
Oh, wait, it's question and answer time.
It is.
Right.
All right. So, does anybody have a question? Yeah.
So, I have actually been diligently rehearsing, but now here's the issue I'm running into. And I've used your method of really kind of building these images in my head, but what I'm finding is when I try to like just improvise a little bit on the fly, I'm losing like my train of thought.
Okay, then the picture should bring you back to your train of thought. Okay, so are all the pictures up in your head, or do you place them around you?
More in my head.
More in your head. So
Yeah.
start placing them around you.
Okay.
So that there's many cues for like, you know, over here is all the things that you're going to look at for this particular bit, and the things are here, and some of them are you're going to look up and look for and stuff like that. But when you get lost, you should be able to just look at the picture and see what you've talked about and what you haven't talked about. Okay. So you should be able to pick it right up. You go off and you ad-lib a little bit, play around with people, look back over there, oh, I've talked about that, and you'll pick it right back up again. And what I've discovered as time goes on with the pictures is you do have to rehearse with them a fair amount of times. You got to get used to eliminating the things and going, this is what I've talked about. Okay, and go over it and you know, get your words in relationship, the things that you want to say in relationship to those pictures, and get really familiar with it. You're doing the right thing, because by doing this, what you're not doing is saying the words of what you're saying over and over and over and over and over again, and then it gets coded in internal dialogue, talking to yourself. And when you do that, there's a whole lot of trouble and problems that creates. Constantly, you know, leaving the relationship, you can only talk as fast, get the information as fast as you can talk. You can only accept so much. But if you look at a picture or a series of pictures, you can see the whole story that you're going to tell laid out. Or the one-liner, for that matter. It doesn't matter, because that's the way our mind. So you have to just get you know, fluent in that. Keep running over it, but not memorizing the words. In other words, what I discover is when you work with picture, sounds, and feelings, okay, the words remain a little flexible, okay, and that's why, and the presentation, the interpretation of that show can remain flexible a little. You know, it's. I always think it's more like Jello, like a big Jello mold, you know. And there's a lot of wiggle room in what you're doing. But if you need to just take out this part only, because the show's, you know, running long or short, oh, I'm just going to do this part, and you can go, I'm only going to do that part over there. Forget the rest of it, etc. And like a slideshow, you can go, I'm going to change routines. Oh, I'm going to put another bunch of pictures. I'm going to do these pictures instead of those pictures. Because it's now always a story in your head. And the reason you become so natural on stage is because your mind is functioning naturally. Those pictures are generating behaviors, your body language, your vocal tone, and now your words. All those things will change every show. And it's flexible, so you can ad-lib in the middle of those things and then get back to where you were before. And then the biggest thing that it does is it sets you free to be present, because you're not afraid of losing your material, because it's in front of you. You can see what you need to talk about next. And as far as segues, I don't believe in all of I find the segues were all what I call the comics cliches, all that hacky things that people say, you know, speaking of, or, you know, how many people here went to, all those, they disappear. And what I want is a segue is what in acting they call a thought pause. So you get a laugh, and then just look at the pictures, whether they're around you or up in your head, and the person's eyes will move all around as they look at stuff. And this builds intrigue. Audience like, oh, he or she is thinking something else. So when the laugh comes down, you can just, you can go, my landlord is driving me crazy. And we accept that complete transition of a different, either, in that case, it's a premise. And then go from there. Pictures about your landlord and you are all around, and you've acted them out, and then do the act outs and the conversations. It sets you free because you can pick up, once you can go away from the script, you can pick up where you left off. And when you're present, once you're present, once the audience knows you are here, okay? Two things, they behave better because they know you'll talk to them, you see. And I always say, if you're present and you play, you win.